Have you ever killed Uber Lilith so hard that she decides to cheat?
What the hell was that?
Hello, my fellow sorcerers, and welcome to something mighty powerful, to something mighty good, to mighty Meteor. Yes, as it turns out, the answer to what skill do we play Meteor with the new unique is nothing. Just go pure Meteor. You can give it a near 0-second cooldown anyway. It turns out that the answer to the question, do we play Meteor with Lucky Hit to summon as many meteors as possible with the enchantment for maximum DPS, or do we go with crit chance and crit damage to do as high a number in the initial impact as possible, is...
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yes, this is something very special. It outdamages Blizzard Ice Spikes, it crushes bosses in seconds, it one-shots every enemy as you blitz through a tier 100 without having to stop, not being held back by any kind of cooldowns, and because all 6 of the abilities on your bar are cooldowns, you really have a permanent barrier, making you absolutely invincible. At least for the most part. Nothing can save you from pure stupidity, like walking into the power swing of an axe goat.
I might be able to come up with incredible builds for you guys, but I am still only human.
In any case, you're seeing and have seen it. Absolutely melting Uber Lilith, melting Uber Duriel, and just generally getting the job done in the quite literally most spectacular Armageddon raid possible. Swarms of meteors constantly crushing for untold millions of damage, and it just is perfect. This really is a ultimate cheat code build. You don't have to care about mana, so you can go all in damage. As I said, you have permanent barrier. We stack cooldown reduction on top of an Ice Blade Swarm, so everything is constantly off cooldown, including the Meteor, yes, but also your Flame Shield, your teleports. You're constantly immune and going very quickly. It really is kind of a symphony of skills, and I am so both proud and happy with this build and cannot wait to show you. Pushing it to its limit, getting Meteor to not only hit for the highest it can, but also, given that we have over 100% lucky hit chance, while also having 100% crit chance, by the way, the meteors summon meteors that summon meteors. Your teleport has 125% lucky hit chance, so when you teleport on people, more often than not, you summon a meteor on them that then one-shots them all, without you even needing to press the button. That is glorious. It's incredible for waves of enemies and mobbing, as you've seen in the final room of a vault, the ultimate test of that, but it also punches holes through constant boss farming like Duriel, which we will be doing over and over and over without the ramp-up time necessary from Blizzard. Don't get me wrong, Ice Spikes is still premium S-tier sorcererness, but this very much joins it in a very different way, and I am so happy the new unique has given us not just a good build, but a top build. This is seriously competitive damage with every other class not named Barbarian, but hey, every other class not named Barbarian exists in a different world from said barbarians. So without further ado then, let's unlock the actual secret potential of Meteor and the new unique. In a twist no one saw coming, we're gonna start with the skill tree like we always do. 2 points anywhere in basic. We're not gonna use the Firebolt enchantment, so feel free to go crazy and put it in like Spark, and then over to your cause, where again we're not getting much, just enough to move on, and that is Devastation for 3 in Elemental Dominance, so our meteors do 9% more. They're not even costing mana, so this really is guaranteed. Then to the defensives, where things really start. We want to max out your glass cannon, it's free damage, we're permanently barriered more than ever here, and it's a real good time. Then you want to grab your teleport, take it to the DR, you know teleport, you know why it's good, I don't need to reiterate it every time. The same with Flame Shield all the way to Shimmering. Lastly, get yourself your Frost Nova and take that to Mystical for an extra source of vulnerable, though we do have a healthy amount of vulnerable going on in this build, and the trio that does provide it ends up being nearly, well, 100% uptime, which is what we're after. Then we have 3 out of 3 in Elemental Attunement. Now, technically speaking, you only need 1. The amount of lucky hit that this build is rocking, yeah, 1 does get the job, but you have 2 floating kinda not really needed anywhere skill points with how this skill tree has fallen, so you can choose to put these anywhere. Slightly less cooldown on Frost Nova isn't a bad call, but I just, you know, personally like full skill nodes, so I just shove them in attunement, but truly put those 2 points wherever you'd like. Over to Conjuration, where we get Align the Elements and Just Protection for the permanent barrier on every button we press, including Meteor. We're not spending mana, so no mana shield. We want all the lucky hit we can get, so Precision Magic is the needed choice alongside Conjuration. We will have a swarm of Ice Blades, as indeed Ice Blade is our first enchantment slot. Everything is a cooldown, so we have so many Ice Blades going, it really is wonderful. It powers down the already tiny cooldown on Meteor, on top of just giving us loads of spam that we can throw at our opponents, which, as we all know, all we can spam, the happier we are. I wanted that to rhyme and couldn't think of anything. Anyway, Lightning Spear to your usual invoked, so it stuns the room, and the thing is, Lightning Spear will go round with its lucky hit chance and drop meteors on people. Not crazy often, but it's still really amusing when that happens, and it powers our Conjuration Mastery even more, and it gives us an extra source of vulnerable. Between Lightning Spear, Ice Blades, and Frost Nova, we really are good on that front. You will regularly see this get up to 5+ stacks, which is a huge, just multiplicative damage increase for those Meteor impacts. Talking of Meteor impacts then, let's head over to the star of the show in Meteor. Get all of your ranks and then take it to Enhanced and Wizards, so it immobilizes, so we get the immobilized part of Devouring Blaze, which, yes, 3 out of 3, along with 3 out of 3 Inner Flames for even more damage on said Meteor. Then all we want here is Icy Veil. The barriers lasting a little bit longer, coupled with every skill being a barrier. Yeah, I really can't exaggerate enough how much you are permanently barriered in this build, which is fantastic both offensively and defensively for really any given sorcerer setup. It's nice to have. It's not super needed, so you could reassign these points if you wish, but I like the comfortableness of it, and I imagine you will too. Then we want to get our second enchantment slot, which is of course going to be the Meteor one for all of those chain Meteor drops from all of our skills, triggering it. It really happens a lot here. Then we want to go to the ultimates, where all we're going to get is Permafrost, just to get to 3 out of 3 Hoarfrost. It turns Frost Nova into a You're Dead button, the Icy Blades will be constantly applying chill, our Seneschal will be applying chill, so this is just a nice free damage increase, and we don't have anything better to spend the points on anyway. Lastly, we head over to the key passive, which is of course going to be Essu's Ferocity for the crit chance and damage on the Meteor itself, especially good against bosses. There really is no other choice. So that does it for the skill tree. Let's move on to gear and everything there within. With your gems, you want to have crit damage to vulnerable in your weapons, you want to have armor in your rings, and you want to have health in your armor. Aspect-wise, we want to be rocking either Conceited, Stormswell, or Shredding Blades. All of them do well. Shredding Blades is apparently bugged at the moment, and it's applying additively instead of multiplicatively, so maybe avoid that one. We have enough vulnerable anyway. But basically take one of your I do more damage with a barrier, Stormswell or Conceited. I like Conceited, but, you know, up to you. Then the rest are much more set in stone. We need Shattered Stars, so we summon extra meteors that do that 30% of its damage, which is still a lot. And then the burn is really nice this too, as it plays into the xfals that we will get to, on top of the actual burning flaw that Meteor by itself defaultly leaves behind. This really is critical, as is Elementalist. This is such a good aspect for cooldown Meteor, because now obviously we never spend mana, so this is 100% guaranteed uptime. I wish I had a 40% one, but coupled with our base crit chance and this, Meteor just has a 100% crit chance, which on top of the 100% lucky hit chance means just chains of guaranteed crit impact death dealing meteors. It's so good. Finally, on your necklace, and very specifically on your necklace, we want the 3 curses for that multiplicative crit damage increased against healthy targets. This puts huge holes in bosses and means you just one-shot normal enemies and elites because they are healthy when you first attack them, and then they are very much not healthy after you've finished attacking them. This really makes it so every enemy just kind of needs one meteor and then you can move on with your life. So, unique-wise then, the usual Tal Rashes, we get ice from the ice blades, fire obviously, and then lightning from teleport and lightning spear. Yeah, this gets the job done, it's phenomenal, we know this. Then we have xfals. Now, this is chiefly here because this build needs as much cooldown reduction as you can get. And the only way to get cooldown reduction on your rings is to use a unique ring that has the affix forced, as you can't get it normally. So Tal Rashes gives us it, and then xfals gives us it. Xfals is also really good for this build, because the lucky hit chance, yeah, that's really nice, the all stats are just fine, but the actual explosions do go off, and they are fire explosions because they're based on fire damage, which plays into the crit chance and crit damage of all of our fiery goodness. Yeah, your xfals are going to hit almost as hard as your meteors, and because we do have Shattered Stars on top of Meteor's default ground burn, on top of the ridiculous lucky hit, this happens a lot even though we're not focusing on damage over time at all, and is just an all-round winner here. Then we want Essu's Heirloom, we want crit damage, and we want crit chance. This is perfect, and there's no real else to say about it. The usual raiment for that constant teleport grouping. There's nothing like dropping a meteor on a huge stacked group of enemies. This is basically part of every sorcerer build that doesn't need to be particularly tanky. And then Starfall Coronet, required for it all to function, makes the meteor the cooldown, and you need at least probably a 7-second or under one for this to work. At 11 seconds, you'll just be waiting too long for more meteors, and you won't quite pull it off. Obviously, you want a high lucky hit chance and cooldown reduction roll too. The ranks of Meteor is nice, but lucky hit and cooldown reduction are the big ones to try and get high on your Coronet. Then your legs, which is the last little bit of defensiveness. You've got your Juggernauts. I like Juggernauts, but you can also use Disobedience. Use one or the other. Though if you are bossing or doing content that's particularly easy, then do swap out your defensive legs for Tibalt's legs, just for the extra multiplicative damage every time we teleport and flame shield. It's really nice to have. You notice the difference, you might as well. But in like tier 90 plus hard stuff where you want to live, then yeah, use your defensive legs. So this results then in kind of ridiculousness stats-wise. Our natural crit chance is 42%. We get an extra 15 from the Seneschal, which is the 57, and then the Elementalist would take that to 100 or just shy of it if I had the max roll, and already you're seeing it happen there. And when we dash because of Essu's, it goes way above 100. Our critical strike damage itself is absolutely nutty, and then, as I was saying, the lucky hit chance, 90 plus an extra 14 with barrier. Yeah, that is pretty damn good. In any case, affix-wise, you want cooldown reduction, and by want I mean need. Both cooldown reduction on your focus and the affix roll it can get. You want cooldown reduction on your neck, which I sadly don't have. I want this movement speed to turn into it, but I ran out of roses. But hey, I've still got down to a 3.7 per charge of meteor, which is really, really good, and you've been seeing in the footage how fast it comes back. And then you are getting cooldown reduction guaranteed on your helmet and your rings. Past that, Critical strike chance, critical strike damage, lucky hit chance. Ranks of Meteor, Devouring Blaze, Glass Cannon, or indeed Hoarfrost will serve you well. Lucky hit chance with a barrier, movement speed, and then your general actual damage increases like intelligence, mastery damage, close damage, vulnerable damage, and so on. A little bit of attack speed doesn't hurt too. Then we get ourselves the defensive aspects, which you want to be. Damage reduction of 2 types. Here I've got close and general, percent total armor, and then make sure you get those ranks of Meteor on your legs if you're not using your unique legs into bolts. So, Seneschal, he is going to be rocking, well, on the offensive side of things, Tempest alongside Evernight, so we have permanent +4 to all our skills, which is amazing here. Not only more damage, it's more longer lasting Flame Shield, lower cooldown Teleport, and Frost Nova. Yeah, it's fantastic, we all know it's fantastic. And then you want to pair it with Frigid support, so we're applying Hoarfrost a lot easier, on top of the Ice Blades and our own Frost Nova. And then lastly, Efficiency for that extra 15% crit chance to help make that 100% crit chance. If you don't have Evernight, well then, of course, choose whatever you prefer to fill in the gap. Over on the other side of things, the standard setup for nearly every build in the game, because it's just too good. Flash of Adrenaline, coupled with Duration and Tactical Support, so it is permanently up, and then Genesis to amp it to 50% permanent multiplicative damage increase. Yes, I finally got Genesis after 3 separate Evernights dropped. Oh, I am never going to Malthus again. But again, if you don't have Genesis, then replace it with something else, maybe Safeguard for more DR, the choice is yours. So when it comes to how to play it, it very much is a spammy build. Ice Blades and Lightning Spear on cooldown every cooldown. Save your Frost Nova for if you need to fill in a vulnerable gap or it's a large group of elites, and then Teleport for, you know, raiment grouping and moving quickly through the dungeon, and then your emergency button in Flame Shield, also to help trigger more Tibalt's Will uptime, as it does count as unstoppable, and you're kind of good. The only real niche tip to give you is don't over-meteor. I cannot stress enough that one cast will kill essentially any given group of enemies. So if this is a dungeon and I'm moving through it, group of enemies there, 1 meteor. Group of enemies here, 1 meteor. Group of enemies in here, 1 meteor. You really don't need to go overboard. And a lot of the times you will teleport and then just see a meteor happen and you're absolutely fine. You don't even need to cast it. So you can just keep blitzing through, spamming all your abilities. It really is one of the simpler builds that you could possibly have to play. Bottom line, the raw damage will just carry you on this, on top of the permanent barrier and the general speed it moves. Not having to ever spend mana is so nice, and I wish I had space for Edge Masters, but just as a quick little demo on our friend here, I mean, you can just kind of see the crushing boom of it. And that was quite an unlucky set of meteors as well, but about 1 to 4 million is what they will hit for alongside the xfals. Then if I go to the actual multiples and we just do normal, I just really want to show you the level of lucky hit here. If I teleport on top of them and I'm just going to press skills that aren't Meteor itself, well, you can see just how many meteors we're actually summoning without needing to use Meteor. It's really quite ridiculous as we go through it, and it really helps fill in that gap of the tiny few occasional seconds where we don't have Meteor on cooldown. But is that not just awesome to see? I didn't even press it once there. In any case, let's finish this up with Paragon. Welcome then to probably the most different Paragon tree you will see from me in a long while, because we had to shift things up a little bit for pure Meteor here. In any case, follow me point for point. We have dropped Resilience here as we pick up a different All Resist Elements node later on, so we don't need to get this one. In any case, up we go, past the usual Elementalist, get the usual Int for the usual Elementalist. That's stacking multiplicative increase. Do pick up Erudite so it is boosted, and then go through Elemental Balance to our next board. Now this is going to be your Enchantment Master board, but unlike normal, we're actually going to get Enchantment Master because we really want more Ice Blades for more cooldown reduction, and taking Meteor extra drop chance from 8% to 10% feels kinda but it is a 25% increase if we're going to look at it that way, and in my testing I found it does make a nice difference. In any case, up we go initially to the glyph slot, which is where reinforced will go. Always a barrier, always damage reduction. Head left and grab elemental balance. Head straight up, get the full rare and magic cluster here, and then curve round for ruinous. Then we want to continue left past ourselves Elementalist, which we of course get, then up and round to this willpower node where we will go up and get Suffused, which is indeed that extra all resist elements, and then all the way to the top for Elemental Enchantment Master itself. Then we want to leave it for now because continuing left here will be our final board much later on, so don't worry about it at the moment. Firstly, we want to go right from this magic node and up to here, where we will have Searing Heat as our second main board. Arranged so the Searing Heat is in the bottom right. We want to initially come in and then straight up to Flame Touched, then over to the glyph where Adept will be. Bigger meteors, harder hitting meteors, what's not to love? Grab the intelligence and get it activated, and I also have 2 extra bits grabbed because I might as well, they were points left over, and it amps up this glyph. Then we want to go down a big diagonal middle, going through Combustion, eventually ending up at Searing Heat for that lovely 30% multiplicative direct damage increase, maxed out, and then finally poke your way to Pyromancy for just the extra 20% fire damage. You might as well for the sake of 6 Paragon points. Then we want to head right from Ashes into our next board, which is going to be our Frigid Fate Vulnerable board. This is a straight up shot, head right to the decks because we will be activating Flame Feeder here for that 10% extra multiplicative damage, because enemies are going to be burning a lot, chiefly bosses, from both the aspect and the meteor itself. Activate it with the decks next to Chilling, and then we head left through Weakness so we can curve round and end up at Frigid Fate for an extra multiplicative vulnerable increase. Now we can head left after this in order to get our Burning Instinct board, the usual second board. It is weird to see it so far away. In any case, we are going to arrange it so the glyph is in the top right, like so. Then we're going to head up, initially grab Cinders, then we're going to go down here to this Willpower, curve down and grab Kindling. We may as well get it. And then finally we want to go round to the glyph slot where Destruction finds its usual home. Get every little bit of dex you can around it to power it up as much as possible, which is why we've gone up here for Smouldering Embers for the extra dex near it, though Smouldering Embers is fine to have too. Then we want to head up and left to get our true final board, and this one basically just exists to give us an extra glyph slot, but it's going to be your Static Surge. Arrange it like this so it's straight up to the glyph, and indeed go straight up to the glyph. Get this dex on the way, grab this cluster, the dex at the top, and incapacitate to activate control. Enemies are going to be chilled, frozen, and stunned a lot from your Frost Nova, from your General Chill and your Seneschal, and your Teleport Grouping Raiment, so yeah, this is a nice increase. If you are purely doing bosses, then you can replace this with another damage dealing alternative, perhaps Exploit. And that's where it's at when it comes to the Paragon board of pure Meteor, and I hope you very much find well use in it. That then is very much that. Pure Meteor, no mana spent, full cooldowns, speed, boom, one shot. It is glorious in all of its ways, and I am very much happy that it's worked the way that it has, because I really do love the new unique helmet, and I really wanted a fully, properly competitive build that uses it, and this very much is that. It feels good to play, it's a different way to play, and I heartily recommend it. Look out for, of course, upcoming builds. We will have a crack at Season 3 Ball Lightning, see if it is still salvageable, and it's looking surprisingly like yes, on top of a few others I still want to explore as we head towards the Gauntlet and cracking those leaderboards. In any case, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.